Hello everyone, Kristina here. Welcome to another live stream here at my YouTube channel. I apologize for starting just a few minutes late. I wanted to update the supply list with the supplies that I have planned for tonight, so that if any of you have questions about colors I'm using or products I'm using, you can go to the link down in the video description and you can see the supplies right away. I probably forgot a few supplies there because I was obviously doing it at the last minute, but hopefully it will have everything that you have questions about. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that next week's live stream will not be happening. I'm going to be traveling that day and I will be arriving right at home about the time that I should be going live normally. So there will not be a live next week. I hope to share a video the following day on Tuesday of next week. In the meantime, but there will not be a live next week. So I will miss you all, but I'll be traveling today, or traveling next week. Okay, all right. Yes, I will be traveling, so the live will not be happening next Monday. Just a heads up. Okay, over in the chat, hello. Everyone's talking about snowy weather. We need some snow in Utah. We're gearing up for a really bad drought. I mean, we're constantly in a drought. If you're always in a drought, is it really called a drought anymore? Or is that just the state of things as always? Which I guess that's what they call a desert, and we do live in a desert. So why do we constantly say we're in a drought? Because we always are in a drought. Do we need to reiterate it over and over? Anyway, all right, I digress. So for tonight's project, I thought I would recreate a card with different colors that I shared for my January 2026 release. I had to think hard. I'm like, January or February? No, January. February release has not happened yet. Okay, so let's switch to the overhead here. Oh, I guess I can have myself in the corner. Hello. So I thought we would recreate this card right here. It was one of my favorites from the release. I just thought it was so adorable. So we're going to create a plaid using different colors. I wanted it to be more reds and pinks. So we're basically going to be recreating this, but in different colors. So here we go. Let's do this thing. First off, I did a little test run trying to test out some colors for the plaid. This is not the colors I'm going for. I'm actually going to be doing kind of a variation of these over here. I was just trying to figure it out. So the actual colors, well, I take that back. Let's take a look at the stencil first. I'm too excited. I'm skipping steps. Okay, so this is the Plaid Perfection stencil pack. And I've wanted to do a plaid stencil like this for a long time. The closest I ever got to it was I had a plaid stencil that came out, I think it was a couple Christmases ago, a couple months into my collection at Concord and 9th. And it was one where you had to like rotate the stencil and you like built your own plaid or whatever. Well, this one, you don't have to rotate your stencil, but it does have the teeny tiniest of a learning curve. I'm going to walk you through it. It's super easy. So for my stenciling, I'm going to use a grip mat just because it makes it so much easier, I promise. If you don't have a grip mat, I highly recommend this one from Altenew. It's their 9x12 mat. Okay. Oh, I guess there's a sale on the sticky mat right now. Perfect time to pick it up. Highly encourage you to go grab it. Okay, so basically what you're going to do, and I'm going to show you on the stencil itself, in the bottom corner of each stencil, do you see where it says right here, color 1 dark? It's a little bit hard to see. Some people like to take like a dark pigment ink or something and like fill in, so you can see a little bit better, which you definitely can. You could also just use a marker and write on it. But you basically have a color 1 dark, and then you have color 1 light, and then color 1 light. So I want you to see these right here. There's color 1 light, color one light. There's 2 color one light stencils and 1 color one dark. Okay. And then you have the same thing happening, but with color 2. So we've got color 2 dark. See that down there? Color 2 dark. And then you have 2 stencils that both say color 2 light. So if you want to have like a combination of colors, for example, I'll show you this one right here. On this card, the 2 groupings were pinks and oranges. So for the 2 colors, I had wild berry and pink lemonade. So that was the dark color 1 and the light color 2. And then for the oranges, I had nectar, or well, I should say the dark color is sorbet and the nectar is the light color. So you basically want 2 groups of colors and you want a dark and a light in each group. Okay. I'll show you some more examples of finished plaid patterns once we have the plaid done. Okay, so for my plaid, because I wanted to make it more reds and pinks, for my dark shades, let me grab this, not dark, but I should just say for my group 1, for my color 1, I have cranberry and watermelon. And then my second group is poppy and ballet slipper. So it's lots of reds, a couple of pinks. And just to keep it interesting, I'm going to be using ballet slipper cardstock. This is going to give it a complete color look. And if you notice on the card that I'm mimicking or making a version of, the plaid is at a diagonal. So that means I need to make sure that I do a full sheet, the full stencil design. If I didn't want it to be at a diagonal, I could actually get 2 card fronts out of this one stenciling, which is kind of great. Okay, so I've got my ballet slipper cardstock here. Just press that down onto my grip mat. And we're going to start with the color 1 grouping. So these 3 stencils, and I like to start with the dark color and then go to the light color. And the only thing you have to remember is that there's 2 stencils for the light color. Just always do what it says in the bottom corner and you'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to take the color 1 dark stencil and I'm going to kind of get it right up there at the top. Actually, yeah, that's fine. We're going to put it right up here. I just want to make sure that it extends to the bottom of the cardstock. And I also want to have enough space around the edge that I can press the stencil down, just so it doesn't move around. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm going to be using the center alignment guides for the stamp wheel just to mark the corners of my stencil here. So these are from Altenew. I think they're fairly inexpensive, but this is just going to help me get my plaid lined up every time really easily. In fact, you could probably get away with just having one. Let's see. That's kind of in the way. You get an idea. It's going to look the same down here in this bottom corner. Okay. Or I guess I could just take me off screen. Maybe I'll just do that. There we go. You guys don't need to see the top of my head while I'm ink blending, do you? Okay, so I've got these 2 little L brackets down to my grip mat. And this is color 1 dark. So remember, our color 1 grouping is cranberry and watermelon, and cranberry is the dark color. So I'm starting with cranberry. I'm going to take my blending brush. This is a mini blending brush from Altenew. And I'm just going to start. Oh, hello. My stencil started moving. Let's take care of that. Let's get that in there again. I think I want to lift this up. I want to redo this. We'll just flip our cardstock over. Ta-da! We'll use the other side just because it got a little bit of ink on it and I want to make sure it matches right. Okay. And we'll kind of get this centered the best we can. Really press this down. It doesn't want to stick because there isn't much left around it. I might have to cut down my cardstock a little bit. You know what? I'm going to do that. I think that would be a smart move. Just take a little bit off each edge because I don't need it that large because I'm going to do it at a diagonal. All right, I just took a little bit off each edge. This will be enough to give, oh, I guess I could use magnets. That's a good point. I'd have to move it around. Okay, let's try that again. Oh yeah, this will give me some room to really stick this down so it doesn't move. Perfect. We're just troubleshooting. If you are doing the full sheet, like you want to get 2 out of the sheet, 2 A2 card fronts, it is possible. I've done it. For whatever reason, this doesn't want to stick right now. Okay, so back to stenciling with Cranberry. And this really just takes a little bit of time. In fact, you know what? Since I'm live here, we're going to be eventually cutting this out with this stencil right here, or not stencil, but die. And it's going to be like right there. So maybe I'll just like only do that section. Does that make sense? So let's just go ahead and draw some little lines here. We just have to make sure that gives us a good little rectangle. We know that we need to be in that area. This is going to save us a little bit of time because we do have to go over each one of these squares and it can take a little bit of time. But since we're live, and I don't want to keep you guys indefinitely all night, let's just do this. It'll save us a little bit of time. I guess I could have also just pre-cut that cardstock, put it at a diagonal, and then place a stencil on it. That would have even worked better. All right. Does anyone have a question for me that I can answer while I do some ink blending here? I don't really have any stories for you right now. I don't think I've even watched any additional movies. I mean, with my members over the weekend, I was telling them that I watched the new rom-com on Netflix. What was it called? People We Meet on Vacation. And it was really good. Why not a larger brush? You could do a larger brush. I just find I get a little bit better coverage and into the nooks and crannies by using a smaller brush, especially when it comes to some of the smaller little squares on the other stencils for this plaid set. Where are we traveling to? I'm actually going on a Disney cruise for the first time ever. I'm going with Sika. I don't know if Sika's in the chat here tonight. I'm not sure if she is. And also Dana. Dana might be in the chat. And then our friend Jennifer. Jennifer, Sika, Dana. Yeah. I think I said all three of us. Okay. All right. So when I'm doing these plaids, especially with like dark colors like this, I like to wipe the stencil with a microfiber cloth before I remove it, because that gets off quite a bit of the ink. And then I only have to spritz it with my alcohol and just clean it from here. Oh, hey, Dana. Dana is on top of things and has started packing. Have I started packing? No. But I have a list of things I'm going to bring. Of course, that list is in my head, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to line this up here. I'm also kind of eyeballing what I've already stenciled to make sure that it lines up correctly. But if it overlaps a little bit, it's not a huge deal. I think it kind of lends itself. In fact, you know what? I kind of want to slide this down a little. I want to get that positioned just a little bit better. Okay, about like that. All right, so now we're on to color 1 light, which is watermelon. Okay, question. Hold on, I just saw that. How often do you need to re-ink felt pads versus foam pads? I've heard that foam dries out faster. True. But is that because the ink gets used up more quickly or something? No, I think felt pads just hold on to the ink and it doesn't, like the foam. If you think about it, like a sponge, which is kind of like the foam, dries out faster than like a piece of felt. You know what I'm talking about? So just think of it that way. That's how it's going to work with ink pads as well. All right, so we're going on to watermelon. It's kind of a pinky shade. Do I want to switch a pink brush? No, I think I still want to do my red brush, but I have a bit of scratch paper here. I'm going to try to get quite a bit of that cranberry off. Oh my word, there's so much ink in this brush. All right, then we'll just come in with watermelon. I can still kind of see the pencil lines that I drew on earlier through the stencil, especially for like these little areas right here. A smaller blending brush really works well. Watermelon can be intense if your ink pad is really juicy or if you apply many layers. So I want this to still remain fairly light. So I'm not going to put on too many layers of the watermelon. Okay. Jennifer's been talking about it in her lives. Yay. Let's see. Felt pads last way longer than the foam pads, like years. That's true. Like, in fact, Simon Says Stamp, their original ink pads, which I don't think they sell anymore. They might be selling through the last stock that they have. But their original ink pads, they didn't even come out with re-inkers. And I think I only had to replace one ink pad over all the years that I was using them, like over 10 years. And it was because it was a color that I used all the time. Dollhouse Pink. Was it Dollhouse? No, just Doll Pink? What was it? What was it called? I think it was just Doll Pink. It was like a nice bright magenta. But I did have to replace that ink pad once over all the years. Another one that I almost replaced, but then I didn't, was, oh my word, Hot Mama. Was it called Hot Mama? Yeah, I think it was Hot Mama. Laura Basson named it. Yeah, Doll Pink. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Not Dollhouse, but Doll Pink. Okay, I think I see a pencil line right there. Okay. I'm just gonna grab that die that I'm gonna be using later and just double check that I have the area that I'll need. Perfect. Wipe this with my rag here. In fact, while I have the stencil off right now, let's go ahead and just draw those pencil lines a little bit better. So that I know exactly where I'm ink blending. Okay, perfect. Now I can just put that aside. All right, this is the second of the 2 Color One Light stencils. Just trying to get it on here just right. All right, still using watermelon. And now I have those pencil lines on, so I know exactly where I need to go. Yes, it is a Laura Basson name for sure. Okay. You know what? I think this was a good move, so I don't have to spend time ink blending those other spots. I kind of want to figure out how to do like a rainbow plaid and do like a, you know, like have it look really plaid. Kind of like how I did my rainbow hearts last week, where there was an ink blend, like a change of color across the stencils. I'd love to figure out how to do that. Might have to do that one of these days. Okay. So there's all of the watermelon. We did 2 of the light shade. And you can start to see the plaid forming. Right now it looks weird, like a, oh my gosh, who's that famous artist who does the paintings with just the squares of color? I want to say it starts with an M. I did not clean my other stencil, so I'm going to do that right now. And I'm almost out of my rubbing alcohol that I use for my stencil cleaning. So I'll have to fix that. Okay, so now we're on to color 2, and I want the color 2 dark stencil. You guys see that down there? Color 2 dark. There we go. Now you can see it. Color 2 dark. All right. Mandarin. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the name I was thinking. All right, getting this lined up just right. And we're moving on to the second set. So I've got Poppy and Ballet Slipper. So Poppy is first, and my Poppy is fairly juicy. Oh, I don't need that corner. I forgot. We're only going to the pencil. You guys aren't going to believe this, but I actually cleaned a little bit of my craft room yesterday. It's by no means clean, but it's cleaner than it was, right? Oh, I just looked up and Jennifer A. Paxson just became a member. Welcome, Jennifer. If any of you want to subscribe and become a paid member here at YouTube for my channel, greatly welcome you. It helps support what I do. And you get some fun live streams throughout the month. You can even watch old live streams, or if you sign up at the Supporter Plus level, I've got a bunch of mail art videos that I've been doing over the past couple of years that you will get immediate access to. And then I did 4 live mail art envelopes this month with my Supporter Plus members. So that was a lot of fun. I loved it. I did it at like 10 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday for the last 2 weekends. And I kind of really loved having like a set time to get up and just start being creative. It worked out really well. It makes me want to incorporate some sort of creative practice into like my morning routine. probably should journal or something, right? Okay. Get a little bit over to that corner. And I think that will do it for the poppy. So I'll just wipe this with the rag. Oh, I love it. It's come together so great. All right, cleaning my stencil. Okay. And now I'm going to move on to the two Color 2 light colors. Oh, Melissa, thank you. That's so sweet. Let's see. Holly says, I've always been curious about your design process. Do your ideas come mostly as a result of a need you see for yourself, or do you design more based on a request from C9? Concord and Ninth does not, like as a company, they are very hands-off. They do not request products from me or give me ideas or whatever. It is purely all from my head, which is kind of nice. It's been really fun. Oh, what do I use to clean? Isopropyl alcohol that I put in a little spray bottle. This is from Altenew. The only thing I clean with the alcohol is my stencils. I don't use it for anything else. Specifically, do not use it for your stamps because the alcohol will wear down your stamps, so you don't want to use it on your stamps. I did spray a stamp with it once on accident, and I was like, oh no, I've committed the cardinal sin. Like, don't do it. But yeah, anyway, that was just random. Okay, ooh, my pencil is smudging right there. All right, so now I'm using Ballet Slipper over these areas, and it will dry back a little bit. So it might look a little intense now, but... Oh, Dana, thank you. Sally is a new member as well. Dana just texted me. Thank you, Dana. Welcome, Sally. That's so awesome. The other thing that's kind of fun if you sign up at the Supporter Plus level is that I have a special Google form to submit your addresses for the Supporter Plus mail art. So your chances of being chosen for an envelope are higher because it's only Supporter Plus members that have access to that form to submit their name. And I do verify that they are Supporter Plus members before I use their address. All right, so there's the first light, the Color 2 light stencil. Oh, this is going to be really cute. I wasn't sure how this would work out with these different colors because you just don't know sometimes, but I think this is going to look great. Okay, so here's the second Color 2 light stencil. Getting that stuck down. Oh, a Jennifer did that want. Yay. C Thurbs, Ginger Ninja in their profile pic or whatever. Just got this stencil today. Perfect. Good timing. Kathy says, I sprayed alcohol on a stamp once too. I panicked and ran to the bathroom to rinse it off. I had visions of it melting away. You know, I don't think it immediately harms the stamp. I just think over time, if you keep using it to clean the stamp, it might. I don't even remember what stamp it was that I cleaned it out. It may have been a background stamp of some sort. Yeah, break out the original Plaid stencil too. Okay. We're about to have a plaid reveal here. I love it. Got a little bit of ink bleeding right there, just in those corners. I love that. That is like the really happy red and pink plaid that I was hoping for. I think it turned out so cute. And we didn't waste a bunch of time on those other sections. So now we can just die cut. This is great. Okay, so let me peel this up. I'm gonna make sure I don't have any ink on my little corners here. Once again, these are the Stamp Wheel Center Alignment Guides from Altenew. And I've recently started using them with my stencils, and they've been great. I was using some smaller little corners before, but I really liked these. Okay, so this is my Essentials die set. I'm not sure if they're restocked. I don't think they're restocked yet, but we're going to do some cutting of our little pattern here that we've created. So I'll just use my Griffin Empress machine. And we're going to use the little wonky scalloped piece here. Just put that right there. Run that through my die cut machine. Oh, that's a good point from Leanne. The plaid reminds her of those plastic picnic tablecloths. It's kind of true. Okay. Stop it. That's so cute. You know what I want to do? I want to add little white hearts in the centers of those. Wouldn't that be so cute? If I didn't already have a plan for like what I was doing for this card, I would do that because I think that's adorable. Okay. Put those dies away. And now I'm going to stamp my greeting, and then we're going to be die cutting it and stacking it up so that it's on, you know, like a good substantial layer. So the stamp sets that I'm going to be using for my greeting is the Love and Adore You stamps. We're going to do the Love You, mostly because on my card that I'm recreating, I did Adore You. So I kind of wanted to change it up. Let's do Love You instead. So get out my MISTI here. And I'm going to be stamping the Love You in Cranberry. Very Valentine's-y. Yes, exactly. All right. I have some Neenah Solar White cardstock here. And we'll just stamp this Love You right up here at the top. I'm going to do that in Cranberry. Might have to stamp it a couple of times to get it super solid. Yeah, I totally missed inking up the center of the stamp. That's cute. You know what? I've got like a hair or something. Where is it? It's probably a cat hair, because that would track about right. It's totally a cat hair. You guys can't see it. That's a Fred fur. All right, I'm just going to rotate my cardstock here. Just because I could see the line of it right down there. It was bugging me. So I'll just stamp this once again. All right, that's pretty solid, but I'm going to stamp it one more time. Lyrical Wonders asks, I noticed that many crafters are using the Empress die cutting machine. Would you still recommend the Gemini? I did like the Gemini. I had one for a couple of years. I would recommend the Empress over the Gemini if you are trying to figure out an electronic die cutting machine to get. Mostly because the Empress, for one thing, it has a larger opening and you can turn the mat or whatever. It can go through on the short end or the long end. I believe the Gemini, there is only one direction. And also the magnetic mat on the Empress is a little stronger and you can cut directly into it. And also the cutting plates don't warp. They can warp the teeny tiniest a bit over time, but like such a small amount that it doesn't bother me at all. And the plates warping and all that were it's one of my pet peeves from die cutting and why I did not like to die cut for so many years. So I really highly recommend the Empress. And some people call it the Empress. I say Empress because my machine's a pretty princess. And, she's an Empress. Okay. So we're going to break out the stamps here in a minute. In fact, let's just go ahead and stamp the secondary greeting while I have it out, my MISTI out. So I have some Cranberry cardstock here and it says, love you. I think I'm going to have it say Happy Galentine's Day. I think that would be really fun. Alrighty. Let's see. That'll be perfect. I can just put it right here. It's almost the perfect width of cardstock for this greeting. There is a, in fact, you know what? I think I'll stamp it like this. There is a coordinating die that will cut out this greeting. All right, I'm using some anti-static powder. And then I'm going to stamp in white pigment ink. I'm going to do white embossing powder. So I've really loved using pigment ink for this because I can really see where it's stamped. This is a very dainty greeting, so I'm going to try to not blob out the stamps. Okay, that looks perfect. I love this for us. Okay. Take this out of my MISTI. My chair is squeaking. This is the first time I've ever noticed it squeaking. I apologize. All right. So this is Alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. And I like to let it just sit for a beat. And then I like to kind of tap it and make sure it kind of goes a few different directions. I think that encourages it to catch every little angle of that stamping. That was where I was holding it with my fingers. All right. I'm going to let my heat tool heat up just a little bit. Okay. Just it'll make it melt things faster. Okay. All right, did I get all of that? I think I did. Wow, that is like one of the cleanest, like most crisp heat embossings I've done in a long time. Look how clean that is. It caught every single bit of the letters. Yeah, I'm just, you know, I feel like I was doing like greeting heat embossing like this for so many years and they were never that crisp. I think it's the combination of the powder tool and just like any powder and not being afraid to have tons of powder because you can very easily get rid of any powder remaining just with a microfiber cloth. You just wipe it away. And if you still have some left, you can use your fingers and the oils from your hands will attract that powder and get rid of it. And for so many years, I didn't want to use too much anti-static powder because I didn't know that it could just come off with a microfiber cloth, you know? Yeah, or let it marinate first. Shimmy, shimmy. Yes, Dana. And you know what? And that tip's from Dana. From, oh, what class was that? Was that a holiday class at OCC? I can't remember. But Dana, like, I just watched her do her heat embossing and I was like, this is a revelation. Like, I'd never thought about making sure that, like, the powder has a chance to get all the different edges, you know, just blows my mind. Okay, so that's the Love You. And then I'm going to use this larger one right here for the Happy Valentine's Day. So I'm just going to get this lined up. This is another one of those times when I am so happy with how strong the magnetic mat in the Empress is, because I rarely tape dies to my cardstock anymore because the dies just don't move. You know what I'm saying? All right. Sometimes I will if I'm like really nervous that something could shift, but I haven't in a long time, very rarely. And I was just waiting for this to be the one time when it shifts, as I'm talking about how it doesn't shift. But no, we're good. Oh, I forgot. I need to cut out a couple hearts here. We're going to cut out the 2 solid hearts. Just those little guys. So I'll have one more. Oh my word, I have a little bit of ink. Do you guys see there's like a little ghosting of ink? I think the cranberry ink was very wet and I totally smudged it. But you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. Before I do any more smudging of it, here, useful. I might be able to clean it up with a sand eraser here in a minute. Okay. While I'm doing all this die cutting, I need to cut out some more of this so I can pop it up on my card. You could also just use foam adhesive, but I really like the substantial look of that. And you know what? I'm going to have it cut into the cutting plate. Yes, create with KC. Always with red ink, it gets everywhere. It's true. Okay. Oh my word, you know what? The red ink's on my plate or on my mat or something. It's like you know what? It's on the die. That's what it is. It's on the die. That's crazy. The red ink was on the die because it transferred to these little spots. You guys probably can't see it, but they're there. Okay. Put these back on my storage sheets. I'm going to grab these 2 hearts. Put those over there. And then I'm just going to cut this shadow layer 2 more times. I'll go into the magnetic mat this time, but I want to make sure that I can get a 3rd one out of this sheet. So move that over. Okay. 2, then we'll get a 3rd one right there. Perfect. So I think the 3 plain white layers plus the stamped layer will be perfectly thick enough for everything I want it to be stamped for. Okay. Just going to put the stamp set away now. And for the little heart in the stamp set, there is a die that will cut it out as well. So if you want to have another little heart, you can. Okay. We can start putting our card together. Let's see here. Let's stack these real quick. And this goes really, really quickly. I will show you how fast you can stack these. I love this tip. It came from Corin Wiskman in another online card class. And I was like, what now? This is how you can stack your layered die cuts so quickly. I'm like, holy crap. Okay. So, you just have to work fairly quickly. I'm going to add, and you use liquid glue. All right. And you apply it to all of your die cuts except the one that goes on top. And then you stack them all at the same time, and the liquid glue is still wet enough that you can manipulate things and get it going just fine. Okay. So stack, stack. See how messy I'm stacking them right now? Doesn't even matter because I'm going to fix it here. Okay. Then you can use your fingers and kind of catch the edge and get them all stacked up. Look how fast that was. I'm going to put a paperweight right on top just to have it hold there for a moment. And while that dries, in fact, I'll move it off the screen a little bit. I'm going to take my little plaid pattern. Look at that difference in color. And I'm going to put some foam behind it. Let me grab my foam tape. Yes, such a time saver, Betsy, right? Putting some nice wide foam tape on the back here. I am not shy when it comes to foam adhesive because when I send this card through the mail, I don't want the center of it caving in. I think Mary Berry, if she was a card maker, she would say no soggy middles, saggy middles. No saggy middles. All right. There's our little foam. Y'all, we're going to have this card made in under an hour. My husband's going to be so happy because we'll have dinner a little bit earlier tonight. Okay. I feel like I need to move this out of the way. That's probably been there long enough. All right, so I'm just going to kind of get this centered. That's not centered perfectly. Come on. Come on, come off. There we go. Okay. Perfect. I mean, it is a little wonky. It doesn't have to be. Like, perfect, perfect. Okay. So now I'm going to take that love you and put it right there. So I'll just take some liquid glue, add it to the back here. And here's the card that we're making a new version of. And this one's going to go the love you. Well, first of all, the Happy Galentine's Day is going to have to go over here. So I do need it to be a little bit off center. So we'll move it up there a little bit too. Okay. And then this Happy Galentine's Day can go right there. We're going to put that on some foam adhesive. I'm going to use that same foam tape that I used before. I'll just add it on the back here. All right. All right, and so then I've got these two hearts. I might have to cut another heart because I want it to almost be a little bit more centered. But I do love how that looks right there. Like maybe I want Maybe I'll cut one more little small heart and put it right there. I think that's a great idea. All right, where'd my little scrap of red cardstock go? We're gonna cut one more little itty bitty heart. Yes, definitely a very fast card. The only thing I'd done in advance was picked out colors. Okay. All right, so I am going to put each of the hearts on top of some foam adhesive. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut some foam really quick here. You could also just die cut the hearts and stack them like I did with the greeting, but I think it's just as effective just to put the foam behind the hearts. These little itty bitty hearts have just the teeny tiniest amount of foam on them. Just the tiniest amount. Okay. Put my foam adhesive back in its storage spot. And then I'm going to place these, and then I'll pick them up one at a time so that I can adhere them in the right spot. Okay, I'm thinking just 3 little hearts just like that, but I guess we could also have it be like that. I feel like it needs to have one down here to kind of fill in that area. So let's do that. I guess you could also cut the hearts out of the other colors of, you know, the colors of cardstock that I use on the plaid, you know, like have one heart in poppy and one heart in watermelon and all that. But I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. I like that. That's cute. Okay. All right, so let's look at some other examples of that plaid stencil. First, let's just do a little spiel for those watching the edited replay. And during that little outro, I will show you the other plaid cards. Okay, lovely. So here's the finished card for today. In total, it took me about 50 to 55 minutes to finish this card. So fast and easy. It worked up really, really quick. Once again, the products I used today is the, let's see, Plaid Perfection. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Plaid Perfection Stencil Pack with the Love and Adore You stamps and dies. And the little wonky little frame was, or the rectangle was cut using my Kristina's Essentials dies. So let's look at some other examples of the plaid stencils in use. So here's another one. I shared it at the beginning as well. And remember, there are 2 groups or 2 colors that you use. There's a color 1 and a color 2. So on this plaid, the color 1 was Wildberry, the color 1 dark, the color 1 light was Pink Lemonade. This is on Ballet Slipper cardstock, by the way. And then the 2 oranges, the dark is Sorbet and the light is Nectar. All right, over here, this was done on powder cardstock, so a very pale blue. It's the same blue that's on the card base. And the colors here, like, so the two dark colors were Midnight and Juniper, and then there was a lighter version. So a lighter blue, which is Harbor, and then a lighter green, which is Tide Pool. So just a fun grouping of colors. And then for this card, this one was on Harbor cardstock. And this one used, let's see, Blueberry ink and Harbor ink. And I just used the Blueberry for both colors for the dark. And then I used Harbor for both colors for the light. But there you go, perfect. All right, so just want to show those other examples of the plaid. Thank you so much for joining me for tonight's live. And just a reminder, I will not be live next Monday night. So I will see you in 2 weeks for my regular live stream. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Okay. All right, let's put this back up here. Hi, I'm back in the top corner again. Let's see here. Dorothy says, my fave is the one you just finished. Yeah, I really like the pinks and reds. It's so Valentine's-y. I love it. I love it so much. Let's see here. Yes, Terrence, I agree. The blues make for a really good, more masculine card. I think it works out great. Someone felt an earthquake? Scrappy Cat. I've only really experienced an earthquake once, and it happened to be like a week into lockdown during COVID. And I was like, the whole world's falling apart. We're all in our homes, and now we're experiencing earthquakes. I was like, what? That, and I was super sick with mono, like right before lockdowns, like a week before lockdowns, I was diagnosed with mono, but I didn't know it. I just gone to like an urgent care, and they'd run my blood work, and they're like, get yourself to an ER. Your liver numbers are crazy. So I ended up going to the hospital, and I'm in the ER waiting room while the news is on the TV above. And it's like a mysterious disease from China. And I was like, what? And I'm looking around the room like, and then I'm like, wait, maybe I have it? Like, it turns out it was mono, but craziness. It was a crazy time, y'all. Okay, let's see. I'm scrolling through. Oh, Pam used my Brighter Days Are Ahead for some Groundhog Day cards. That's fun. Awesome. Oh, thank you for all your well wishes for our Disney cruise. I hope it goes really well too. It's kind of a weird time to leave on vacation, you know, with lots of things happening, but you know, you schedule it a year out. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what will be happening when you're supposed to travel. Oh my word. 5.1 earthquake. That's crazy. All right, I'm going to close up for the night. Thank you so much for joining me and for spending some time on your very busy Monday night here with me. I really do love our chats here during my lives. All of you guys are so friendly with each other, and you remember names and like what's going on in each other's lives. It's just so super fun. Just a reminder that if you want to join my premium membership, we'd love to have you. We're a really fun group of crafters, and it's just a little bit of a smaller group during the lives. So if you have a hard time keeping up with the chat here, you might enjoy those live streams where the chat is a little bit slower, especially if you have lots of questions that you would love to be answered. Sometimes if the chat's going quickly, I don't see the questions, but for our premium member live streams, I do see, I would say 95% of all the questions, because the chat is much slower, and it's really great. So if you want to join my premium membership, look for a join button somewhere around here, or there's a link in the video description. It just says join my premium membership, and you can click through and get some more info. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you guys in 2 weeks for a live stream, and I hope to share a couple edited videos in the meantime, but I will not be live for 2 weeks. So enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you find lots of time to craft and something fun to create, to bring more happiness into your day. In challenging times, I saw this graphic and I shared it on my Instagram, but it was like, you have to hold 2 things at the same time. And it's like what was it? Joy and whimsy in one arm and, and like outrage in the other. You have to have both. So I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I'll see you guys in the next live. Thanks for watching.